I believe there are 5 things that can improve your writing. 5 simple things you can learn to do that can take your writing further. The one I'm going to start with is the most basic and, in my opinion, the most important, and yet it's the one that students often don't do. Planning. And also paragraphing. Some of you out there might already know how to paragraph. You might remember being taught something like tip-top by your English teachers. Planning is important. Some people don't plan because they don't think that they need to plan. Some people think that planning is a waste of time and it clutters their ideas and stops them from getting on with it. You need to plan. A lot of English exams today, they say that they only want a side and a half, and they tell you that they want you to spend 10 minutes telling you this, because planning actually does improve your chances of getting a high grade. I've been an examiner, and I'm telling you that the students who plan tend to do better in the writing tasks. That is a fact. How exactly do you plan? There's lots of different ways of planning, and I'm going to show you just one today, one that I particularly like, and that's the mind mapping method. Very simply, all you do is you go in and you write down in the centre of the page the topic that you're going to write about, a short title. So let's say you've been asked to write in paper 1 a letter persuading schools that mobile phones should be allowed. Fine, anything at all. You write the idea, you can write mobile phones, you can draw a little phone, whatever you have to do. And then this is all you do. You take a deep breath. You relax, and then you start to write down ideas. And you might come up with good ideas, you might come up with ideas that you look at later and think, oh crikey, but the important thing is to write down anything you can possibly think of. Just get your ideas down. If you think of ideas later, fine, you can add them to the mind map, that's no problem. But the important thing is that with the planning, not only that you have ideas and that they're organised, but that you go into writing this piece of work knowing that there's plenty of things that you can talk about. You're making yourself feel better because you know that you're not going to run out of things to say. Once you've done that, you want to read through, and I really recommend this. Number the branches on the mind map in order of the sort of ideas that you think are the most important. What is the most important thing the reader needs to know? That should probably go in the first paragraph. And then what should develop, what naturally links onto it? And I would number them so you've got a clear idea. You can also look through at this point any ideas that you don't like, you can cross out and forget about. Now, for those of you out there who don't paragraph, and you know who you are, if you do not paragraph in your writing, you are risking getting a lower grade. Some examiners I've spoken to and some exam boards I know will not award higher than a D if you don't paragraph. That's because one of the most important factors in marking a piece of work in the exam can be the way the text is organised and structured. If it is not paragraphed, it has no organisation and it has no structure. So that's important to paragraph. And for those of you who are worried about how you know when to paragraph, it's dead simple. You just paragraph every time you change branch on the mind map. Paragraph 1, paragraph 2, paragraph 3. If you just paragraph once in your writing, you're just proving that you can get a C because you're showing that you know that you can change line every now and then. But that's not special, is it? You might just sneeze while you're writing and change line by accident. Good paragraphing worthy of a B and getting into an A, starts to group ideas into separate paragraphs. So that's a paragraph about one idea, moving on, that's another paragraph here. And that is how you start to get more grades, higher grades. When you've done that and you've started to write down your ideas and you've got a mind map, you can begin to write. And what I'm going to show you today is a way of adding more detail. Have you ever written anything? You've been asked to write something and you've found that after a while, even though you've got loads of ideas, you just keep saying the same thing, or you run out of things to write, and you end up panicking because you're going over the same ground over and over again. I'm going to show you a technique you can use with your planning to prevent that from happening. What I'm about to show you is a piece of work that was actually done by one of my students about 3 years ago. Basically, this student was asked to write a piece of writing about her favourite celebrity. And her favourite celebrity at the time was Christina Aguilera. She was able to mind map. This was her mind map that she actually did. I just copied it out. That was her mind map. She said she wanted to talk about how Christina Aguilera is a good singer, is a great dancer and a positive role model. Now, she only had to write me about a side. That's all she had to do. It was a small task. It was for a piece of controlled assessment. And those are the 3 things she had to talk about. She'd done everything right. She got her ideas together. This is what she wrote. She turned those 3 things into 3 paragraphs, and she wrote it together here.
My favourite celebrity is excellent for a number of reasons. Firstly, she has a voice, so she's a great excellent singer, she has a voice like an angel. Second, furthermore, she has a she always impresses you with her amazing skills.
Clearly this student's not got a great deal to worry about in terms of her writing. She's actually using paragraphs, suggesting it's already at least a C. She's also using linking words to link her ideas together, taking it into the B. That's also backed up by the fact that she's got all of these ideas linked into clear paragraphs. She wrote this, and you've got to imagine that on a piece of paper, it was only about 5 lines. She came to the front and said to me, "I don't know what else to write." Has that ever happened to you? You might ask yourself this question. Did this student not know what else to write because she didn't know enough about Christina Aguilera? Or was there something else that prevented her from being able to complete the task? And I think the answer isn't so much the knowledge that you have about a topic, it's knowing how to get detail into your writing. Something happens between your ideas and what's on the page. So here's a technique that I've developed with students that can help that. Remember why. I call it the power of why. Why is a crooked letter to help you plan better. Here's how it works. Go back to your plan, where you've got great dancer, positive role model, and good singer here. Go back to your plan, have a look at each idea in turn. Why is it good? Because it asks you to go back to your ideas and ask yourself why. Why is this such a good point? And come up with reasons. So for example, why is Christina Aguilera such a good singer? What is it about her that makes her a good singer? What is it about her that makes her a positive role model? What is it about her that makes her a great dancer? What can she do that others can't? Ask yourself these questions. And then, it's also called the power of why because I ask students to draw these little why shapes on their diagrams, on their mind mapping, little whys that actually turn one idea and break it into, 2 or 4 ideas. So she took great dancer, and this is all her own work, and said that it shows discipline to be a great dancer, it's creative, she designs her own costumes, encourages exercise, she's a role model because she's good with fans, down to earth, independent woman, important because kids like her, all these things. So she added detail to her mind map. I asked her to go back and start it again. This is the part of the mind map that she had for good singer. Self-taught, so different to everyone else out there, writes her own songs, not just a singer, and sings in a range of styles. She took those and turned it into this. The writing in black is the stuff she started with, we already read. The blue is what she was able to add.
My favourite celebrity is excellent for a number of reasons. Firstly, she's an excellent singer. She has a voice like an angel.
It's what she had before.
But not only that, she also
writes her own songs.
This shows she's not just a powerful voice on legs, she has a brain too. On every album, the way
She sings in different styles. There.
also shows she has variety, which shows how skilled she is. How many artists do you know that can go from slow soulful ballad to powerful pop in one track? What is most impressive
is that she's entirely self-taught.
Unlike some things, her manufacturing have all sorts of technical effects added to make them sound better. My favourite singer doesn't need that. That's what
Makes her so special and her voice so different from everyone else out there. This is an interesting thing to think about. This was a student who knew a lot about Christina Aguilera and who was actually quite good at English, although she didn't think she was quite good at English. Why couldn't she then write me a slide on a topic she knew well? And I'll tell you why. Partly because her worry about writing made her nervous and stressed about the task, and partly because she needed to organise her ideas carefully. Interestingly enough, this was a student who told me when I first started teaching this to her, I don't need to plan. Everybody needs to plan. Even I, God of English, plan when I have to write something. One thing I want to cover with you, because I know some of you watching this will already know how to paragraph, and you'll be one thinking, well, I don't want to sit through here learning stuff I already know. I want to give you a little tip from me about how you can take your paragraphing to the A star. Think about it this way. Don't paragraph, that's a D. For a C grade, you're paragraphing maybe once or twice to show that you can. For a B grade to an A grade, depending on how well you do it, you're starting to link ideas together into paragraphs. For an A, I'd really expect those to be linked together with connecting words, and I'd expect there to be some flow. So it's following things in the order of the things the audience needs to know. For an A star, and for a good A, you need to show that the examiner that you don't just paragraph for the sake of it. You paragraph because it's cool, and because paragraphing can add amazing effects to writing when used correctly. Let's have a look at this piece of writing which comes from another student of mine. This was written yesterday, as a matter of fact, for a piece of work students are doing for me at the moment.
Some people argue that students today are lazy, complacent and hard to motivate. They say that exams are getting far easier and that standards of discipline just aren't what they used to be. But is that really the case? Are students today really worse than students 10 years ago? 10 years ago? Have standards slipped?
I say, this is nonsense.
Students today have to work far harder than in the past purely because of the amount of new skills and knowledge required by the technological age.
Look at that. I say, this is nonsense. It's one sentence on its own for effect. How about this one?
He ran down the corridor in a wild red panic. His feet were blurred on the dirty carpet. He could hear it already. The screams and the groans of the torch were already beginning. He tried to avoid it. He tried to escape, but there was no way out. The door was there and he knew it was time for him to enter.
It was time for another maths lesson. You see, one sentence on its own can have a really powerful effect. You need to have paragraphs just because you can. One sentence on its own can create incredible effects just by making sure the reader sees that one thought isolated on its own. Try it. You need to relax and plan before you attempt a task. Add detail to your ideas using the power of why. Use the plan to group ideas into paragraphs. And finally, vary paragraph length.